Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another Walking Dead characters video. We're still on Season 11, and today we're going to be doing the Ferals, some survivors in Season 11 who were probably the most furthest gone survivors we've ever witnessed. Now, there are 8 of them in total, and we only know 2 of the actors' names, so the Hungry Man, I'm naming Jones after the actor. So Jones is of course male, played by Brandon Heath Jones. He's mid to late 30s and first appeared in On the Inside. Then we have this feral woman who I'm naming Goddard after the actress. So Goddard is of course female. She is early to mid 20s and first appeared in On the Inside. The others we have no clue on the actors, so I'm just going to keep it simple. There is Feral Man 1, Feral Man 2, Feral Man 3, Feral Man 4, and Feral Man 5. And then also Feral Woman 1. And all 8 of the Ferals were in some way or another related to each other, most likely siblings. Before the outbreak, they were all living in their family home, likely with their parents. As I was saying, I think they're all siblings. I think that's the implication, although some of them are a little bit older. But when the outbreak began, they were stuck in their family home and were surviving together. But over the years of the outbreak, they began to become more and more feral, abandoning their humanity as their animalistic impulses took over. Their family home had many paintings of them and their relatives, and they scratched the eyes out of the paintings to put their more civilized past behind them. They also resorted to cannibalism and began to herd survivors to their mansion like prey, trapping them, killing them, and then eating them. The Ferals didn't speak much either. They mostly crawled around, meaning they were barely recognizable as humans. Just before their debut, for days they tracked Virgil and Connie, watching them and luring them out of their little camp and towards their house. Connie not being able to sleep and knowing that she was being watched. In Season 11, although unseen, some of the Ferals, from within the bushes and grass, lure Connie and Virgil to their house, scaring them both enough to trick them into heading straight into their little trap. They get them inside via this trickery, and morning comes and the Ferals quietly wait within the secret walls and rooms of the house. One Feral reveals themselves as Connie raids the bathroom cabinet, scaring the poor woman. After Virgil investigates the hole in the wall, he finds nothing, which results in the two deciding to leave. But then one of the Ferals closes a secret wall separating Connie and Virgil from each other. Then Feral Man 1 then secretly approaches Connie. She runs as the man scurries after her, chasing her on his hands and knees. Connie eventually gets behind a door and locks the Feral Man out. He tries getting in, but he's unable to. Eventually, he stops banging and seems to leave. Feral Man 1 and at least one other Feral then manage to find another way into the basement that Connie is in, but unfortunately for them, she's able to escape. Off screen though, some others attack Virgil, but he's able to escape them and hides in a bedroom. Jones, though, was hiding here all along, and as Virgil is distracted by Connie's knocking, Jones sneaks out towards his prey. He stands up and leaps on Virgil's back. Jones beats Virgil and gets on top of him, strangling the man, screaming, "Hungry!" Jones stops his strangling when he hears Connie's knocking, and Virgil uses that to stab Jones in the chest. Jones then crawls away, bleeding heavily. Somehow escaping, I think, but then I'm also unsure because that was like a pretty deadly knife wound, and later on when we see the other Ferals, it's very hard to distinguish them because it's dark and they're all greasy and disgusting. I don't know if Jones died here. The wiki claims he dies later on, but I just wanted to point that out anyway. Night falls, Connie and Virgil take their chances to try and escape. Feral Man 1 re-emerges, joined by 2 friends. He attacks Virgil, and this happens to Feral Man 1. Bashed in the head by Virgil. R.I.P. Feral Man 2 follows, making his debut. However, Virgil does this to Feral Man 2. Bashed in the head by Virgil. The Feral's prey runs into the next room where Goddard is waiting perched on a wardrobe. She leaps off it and onto Virgil, sending him to the ground, and she stabs him in the back 3 times. Connie then slashes her across the arm, and Goddard scurries away in pain. A few moments later, Goddard scurries back to the two, ready to attack them now that her and her family's prey have been cornered at the main doors of their mansion. Jones approaches from the stairs, I think, maybe, I can't tell. He doesn't have a stab wound. It's a bit confusing. And Connie begins to gut up using the dead walker that's there. Goddard gets closer, and at this point, Feral Man 3, 4, and 5 will show up too, right? All of them slowly creeping towards Connie and Virgil. They lunge at Connie, but she opens the door, letting the walkers inside. Feral Man 3 escapes by climbing up like a monkey up to the upper floor, as the others are surrounded and they begin to be attacked. And then Feral Man 3 decides to leap down from the stairs to try and save his family members. Anyway, it's kind of all cut up, so I'm just going to do it here. This happens to Jones, Goddard, Feral Man 3, 4, and 5. All of them devoured by walkers. Aside one, and again, I can't tell exactly which one this is. I think it's either 4 or 5. Or to be honest, in retrospect, it might actually be one of the ones that Virgil bashed in the head, to be honest. I can't tell. But one of them decides to get away. He's able to get away. And he goes after Connie and Virgil. And he's also joined by Feral Woman 1, making her first appearance. Cool. However, Kelly runs over and does this to the two. Killed by Kelly. The bodies of the ferals are then devoured by the dead and left to rot. R.I.P. the 8 ferals. Honestly, I love the ferals, and I wish the whole episode was just devoted to them, to be honest. The feral stuff was great, and it really injected some horror back into the show in its final season. These ferals were too far gone. And it's my canon that they were all young children who lost their parents and then found a more animalistic way to survive. This is kind of contradicted by the fact that some of the actors are in their 30s, and I really wish all the feral actors were in their early 20s at the most, or just in their teenage years, just to enforce the idea that they were literal toddlers and young children who grew up in this world without their parents and found their own animalistic way to survive. But hey ho, they were cool whilst they lasted, at least. Now let me know your thoughts on the ferals, and next week we're doing a wheel pick, but again, I've mentioned it in past episodes, I lost the footage of this wheel pick, so you'll just have to see. By the way, okay, it's these, boom, it's some bodies. So I'll see you next week for that. Cool, goodbye.